Imagine surviving one of the greatest battles in ancient history, only to be thrown into a prison with no walls, no roof, and almost no chance of survival. It's 413 BC. Your sword is gone, your hands are tied. You expect a prison cell. Instead, you're marched to the edge of a gigantic stone quarry and pushed inside. Welcome to the Latomiae of Syracuse, one of the most terrifying prisons of the ancient world. But how did a simple stone quarry become a place that thousands feared more than death? And what really happened to the men trapped inside? To understand why thousands of men ended up inside the Latomiae, we first have to understand one of the greatest military disasters in ancient history. For decades, Athens had been locked in a brutal struggle with Sparta, a conflict we now call the Peloponnesian War. But in 415 BC, Athens made a bold decision. Instead of focusing on Sparta, it looked west toward the wealthy Greek city of Syracuse on the island of Sicily. Its leaders believed conquering Syracuse would bring unimaginable wealth, control of Mediterranean trade, and a decisive advantage in the war. So they assembled one of the largest military expeditions the ancient Greek world had ever seen. Hundreds of ships, tens of thousands of soldiers. To many Athenians, defeat wasn't even a possibility. Syracuse refused to fall, and Sparta soon sent reinforcements to defend the city. After nearly 2 years of fighting, Athens' fleet was destroyed, its army surrounded, and any hope of escape disappeared. In 413 BC, the greatest military expedition Athens had ever launched ended in total disaster. Thousands were killed, thousands more surrendered. For the survivors, the real nightmare was only beginning. The prisoners expected stone cells and iron gates. Instead, they were marched to the edge of an enormous limestone quarry. They were forced down into it. This was the Latomiae of Syracuse. Originally, it wasn't built as a prison at all. For generations, workers carved huge blocks of limestone from these massive pits to build the city of Syracuse. But someone realized something terrifying. A quarry surrounded by towering vertical cliffs didn't need prison walls. The rock itself became the prison. There were no roofs to shield prisoners from the scorching Sicilian sun, no proper shelters from the cold nights, very little food, very little water. Thousands of exhausted Athenian soldiers were crammed together on bare stone where disease spread quickly and the stench of death filled the air. The ancient historian Thucydides wrote that they suffered terribly under the burning heat during the day and the cold, damp nights that followed. Many never walked out again. Imagine standing at the bottom of a gigantic limestone quarry. Towering rock walls rise almost vertically on every side, some reaching more than 20 to 30 meters, about the height of a 7 to 10-story building. The quarry stretched for hundreds of meters, with sheer cliffs replacing prison walls. There were no bars because there was nowhere to climb. The only way out was through the heavily guarded entrances above. By day, the white limestone reflected the Sicilian sun, turning the quarry into a furnace. By night, the temperature dropped, leaving prisoners exposed to the cold. Thousands of exhausted Athenian soldiers slept directly on the bare rock. Wounds became infected. Disease spread rapidly through the overcrowded quarry. For many prisoners, surviving the battle had only delayed their deaths. Hidden within the Latomiae is its most famous feature, a towering limestone cave known as the Ear of Dionysius. Rising more than 20 meters high, its unusual shape creates remarkable echoes that can still be heard today. According to legend, the tyrant Dionysius used the cave's acoustics to secretly overhear prisoners' conversations. The Latomiae wasn't built to rehabilitate prisoners, it was built to break them. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months. With almost no protection from the elements, many prisoners died from starvation, disease, dehydration, and exhaustion. Ancient historian Thucydides describes men packed so tightly together that the dead often lay beside the living. Many were sold into slavery, never returning home to Athens. An army that had left Greece expecting glory had almost completely vanished. The disaster at Syracuse didn't just destroy an army, it changed the course of history. Many historians see the failed Sicilian expedition as the beginning of Athens' decline. Less than a decade later, the once mighty empire surrendered to Sparta. Today, the Latomiae stands silent beneath towering limestone cliffs where thousands of prisoners once struggled to survive. What was once one of the ancient world's most terrifying prisons is now a peaceful historical site visited by people from around the world.